Hi, everyone. Got a scratchy throat today, I guess. Good to see all of you again. We're going to get started with our yoga flow for today. So just make sure that you have your shoes off, that you're ready to move your body, you're ready to drop into this space. And I'm happy to be joining you all on your lunch break. Um, my name is Kelsey, and I'm a therapist in Washington State and also a yoga teacher. And so I provide mental health on the mat as a yoga class to integrate some mental health tools with physical practice. Today, we're moving into our month of December, which our theme for December is all about reflections. So each week, we'll have a different sort of reflection prompt to get us started. And you can mull on that or think about that as you move through your yoga flow. It'll be less heavy on some of the psychoeducation and more about your internal practice as you go through your movements. Um, just as a reminder, this isn't therapy, it's just a yoga practice. Everything today is an offering, so you're welcome to join along with my words. But first and foremost, listen to your body. There will be some time for intuitive movement to help you tune into listening to your body. Um, and the invitation is just to take what serves you and leave what doesn't. We'll start with a meditation, and then the rest of today's flow will be on our yoga mat. We'll do a seated warm up and then move into some standing flow as well. All right, that's my quick little intro for the day. Let's begin by tuning to our breath. So we're just going to let ourselves breathe naturally. However it is that your body is arriving today. Maybe your mind is a little preoccupied from work. Maybe you've had an easy day today and it's easier to drop in. Just allow and accept your heart rate to be whatever pace it's at. And for this meditation, you can always just stay with awareness as your practice for today. Or you can add in some themes and thoughts of reflections and follow along with my guidance. We're going to begin by bringing a little bit of agency to our breath, a little bit of choice for how we show up in our body right now. We're going to inhale all together and exhale, sighing everything out through your mouth, dropping your shoulders as you exhale. We'll do 3 more like that, breathing in, exhaling through your mouth, and letting everything drop down. One more time, letting this be the biggest breath you've had all day, breathing in and sighing it out this time, maybe with a sound if that is welcome in the space that you're in today. Our theme for reflections today is transitions. So as you breathe, begin to tune your awareness to the transition of your in-breath and your out-breath. See if you can minimize the space between your in-breath and your out-breath to let your breath become one movement. Welcome to those of you who are just joining. We're just tuning into our breath. Letting the flow between our in-breath and our out-breath be the same. Focus on the sensations of your breath through your nose, your lungs, out your mouth. I'm going to read a poem at the beginning of today and a poem at the end of today to help us kind of guide our mind with this theme of transitions. And our first poem today is Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down today, nothing gold can stay. When we breathe in, our nervous system is activating the sympathetic nervous system. Our heartbeat speeds up a little bit, our body activates. We feel the energy that comes from breath. And when we exhale, our parasympathetic nervous system is activated. Our heart slows down. We downregulate. We release. We let some toxins go with our breath. Even in this small moment, a breath taking maybe 8 seconds coming in and 8 seconds coming out. We can't stay in one state for too long. We're always in a state of transition, always upregulating our nervous system, always downregulating our nervous system, always building that resilience as we move and breathe. I'm going to transition to the mat so we can do our seated flow for the day to warm up and stretch and get ready. But you're welcome just to tune to your breath and stay with that state of transition. So we're going to start seated on our mat for today. And we're going to begin with a little seated warm up just by inhaling our arms, facing palms together, reaching up with our hands. Exhale, reaching your shoulders down to the mat, pulling them down and away from your ears as you continue to reach up with your hands. As you breathe here, imagine breathing into the side of your lungs. And exhale your arms down to the side. We're going to inhale our arms 3 more times up. This time when we breathe in, we're going to relax our wrists, relax our hands, relax our fingertips. And exhale, letting our arms be strong as our wrists and hands relax. As we exhale, slowly dropping them down to the side. Inhaling our arms up, palms facing each other again. This time, strengthen your hands, spread your hands wide, create a little bit of tension as you pull your fingers as far apart as they can go. Let your arms soften as your hands stay strong as you reach out to the side. At the pace of your exhale, slowly lowering your hands down to the mat. When you reach the bottom, inhaling them up again, curl your hands into a loose fist. And this time, as you exhale, roll your wrists as you send your arms wide and down to the side. When you reach the bottom, we're going to inhale them up again, but immediately exhale, twisting to the left side as we bring our right hand to our left knee, looking over our left shoulder to create a gentle twist in our body here. Hold this pose for a few breaths, reaching through the crown of your head, using your arms to gently deepen this twist. And here we're going to lift our chin to the sky as we inhale. And as we exhale, roll our chin down to our chest, maybe rounding your upper spine. Inhaling, looking up. Exhaling, rolling down. One more time at your own pace. And as you exhale, tucking your chin down, also untwist and move back to center. Inhale, bringing your arms up, palms facing each other. Immediately exhaling, this time to the right side, left hand on your right knee, right hand behind you. Gaze is over that right shoulder. Remembering to breathe into our belly as we twist. And then beginning some movement. Inhaling, lifting our chin to the sky. Exhaling, tucking our chin down to our chest, maybe slightly rounding your upper back. Inhaling, reaching up, looking up. Exhaling, rounding down. Inhaling up at your own pace. When you reach the bottom of your exhale, untwisting, coming back to center. We're going to send our arms up again, palms facing each other. And then send both our arms over to the left side, dropping your left hand down, reaching up and over with your right hand, sending your gaze up under your top arm. Breathing into your right side body here. On an inhale, stretching up at a 45-degree angle. On the exhale, bending in your left arm to send you down farther into this stretch. Releasing this pose, sending both your arms back up to center and over to the right side. First, straightening your right arm, reaching up and over with your left arm. Stretching one more time at that 45-degree angle before closing down, bending in your right elbow as you reach over to the right side as far as it feels good for your body right now. Inhaling everything back up to center and releasing your arms down one more time. Take a breath here, pause, give your arms a little bit of a break if you need to, or you can keep following along. We're going to reach up. Exhale, bending in our elbows, sending our arms wide to the side, imagining a string tied to our elbows, pulling our elbows behind our back. Opening through the front of your chest here. As you exhale, you're going to cross your arms in front of you, giving yourself a good squeeze, hands on opposite shoulders, tucking your chin to your chest and rolling down. Inhaling, arms reach up first, then sending them back into cactus pose. And exhaling, opposite arm on top this time, rounding down. And back up. Coming to a neutral place, we're going to move on to warming up our legs for today. Go ahead and stretch them long in front of you. And I always like to reset in this pose by pulling my toes towards my chest, reaching my arms down long, creating an active seated pose here. Exhaling, just letting my body relax and kind of seeing the difference between active and passive. Go ahead and bring your left knee up towards your chest. You can interlace your fingers around it. If you need to move your knee to the side, you can go ahead and do that. I always get these emojis whenever um, it looks like I'm giving a thumbs up. So sorry about those. But go ahead, pull your knee to your chest, whether from the side or from the front. Lengthen through the crown of your head. We're going to exhale our breath all the way out as we bring our forehead to our knee. Inhaling up to center, lifting your left ankle, crossing it over top of your right knee, above your knee, so you're not putting any pressure on the joint. Put your left knee out to the side and go ahead and begin with some ankle rolls here. Maybe doing 3 in each direction. And if you want to add in some neuroplasticity tricks, you can, as you're rolling your left ankle, begin to point and flex your right ankle. See if your brain can figure out how to do both of those movements at the same time. All right, go ahead and give your feet a pause. We're going to inhale our arms up, exhale into another twist, same as before. Right hand on your left knee, left hand behind you, twisting, looking back. And swinging back around to the front. Inhale your arms up. We're going to stretch first with our arms as far as we can, up and forward, and then let our arms fall as we hinge at the hips into a forward fold here. Using our hands to help us walk back to center, let's send our left leg long, repeating everything on the opposite side, resetting by pulling your toes towards your chest, reaching down into your mat with your hands. Taking a breath to feel the tension of this staff pose. Exhaling, letting everything relax and release, and then pulling your right knee in towards your chest. Again, if you're doing it from the side, because that feels better for your hips or your belly, that's great. Reaching through the crown of your head on an inhale, and then exhaling, tucking that forehead down towards your knee. Coming back to a neutral spine before placing your right ankle over your left knee, just above it, and then rolling that ankle first. A couple times in each direction here. And then again, if you want to give your brain a little bit of a trick, you can practice pointing and wow, it's much harder on this foot for me. Pointing and flexing your left foot as you roll your right ankle. Great job practicing, everybody. Okay, let's inhale our arms up. We're going to exhale into our twist on the right side. Left hand on your right knee, looking around over your right shoulder. And coming back to center. Inhaling our arms up again. First, reaching forward, reaching high. And then letting our hands drop down to the mat in front of us. Using our hands to walk us back up to center, we're going to reset by letting our right leg be long. Swing your legs to one side, doesn't matter which side. We're going to come into our tabletop position now. So coming up onto our knees, moving into our full yoga flow of the day. Knees directly below your hips, hands directly below your shoulders. For today, we're going to warm up our wrists a little bit more by rotating our wrists around. If you need to, you can do it one at a time so that your full weight isn't on your wrists. Pointing your fingers of your right hand towards your knees. If it's available to you, you can do both at the same time, twisting to the outside, sending your fingers towards your knees. If you're doing one hand at a time, you can go ahead and switch to just your left hand now. And then we're gonna bring both of our hands so our fingers are pointing towards the top of our mat. And just to give ourselves another little wrist warm up here, placing the back of your hand on your mat. This one I would suggest doing one at a time so your full weight is in your left hand as the back of your right hand is on the mat. Gently stretching the back of your wrist here. And switching hands, so your weight is now in the palm of your right hand as you pick your left hand up, placing the back of your left hand on the mat. And just applying a little bit of gentle pressure to stretch the back of your wrist, but you shouldn't experience any pain in this pose. Picking up your hands to put your palm back on the mat. We're going to move through some cat and cow. Go ahead and drop your belly down to the mat. Lift your chin to the sky. See if in this pose you can breathe all the way into your belly. Switching directions, tucking your chin to your chest, your belly button towards your spine, rounding like a little cat. And beginning your own flow, here's a place where you can add some intuitive movement if you want to follow your breath. Exhaling into cat pose, inhaling into cow pose. You can also opt to switch up the movements here, just waking up your spine, maybe bringing in some circles or some twists. Whatever your body wants to do to explore how it can move in this pose. You can keep exploring if you want, or you can come to stillness with the rest of us. We're going to bring our right hand directly below our chest as we inhale, our left hand high, reaching towards the sky, and exhaling, threading the needle, sinking our hand in underneath our core, reaching to the opposite side. Option 1 is to stay with your right hand extended. Option 2 is to bend your right hand so that your left shoulder reaches the mat here. Passing back up to center, we're gonna repeat that twist on the left side and then plant our left hand back down on the mat. Make sure that left hand is directly below the center of your chest to help distribute your weight and help you balance. Inhale that right hand high. Exhale, thread the needle. Option 1 to stay with your left hand extended with a gentle twist here. Option 2 to bend that left hand, left arm, and reach under with your right arm, shoulder to the mat. Coming out of this pose by reaching that right hand way up to the sky again, and then exhaling it back down on the mat. Moving through one little transition flow here. We're going to move through a Shakti flow. So go ahead and sink your heels back, your hips back on your heels. My words are all mixed up today. Walk your hands forward just a little bit here. Place your forehead on the mat. Again, one way to think about transitions is the transition between down regulation and up regulation of the nervous system. So here, this can be our pose for down regulation, a place of reset and rest. Press into the mat with all of your fingertips. Send your weight forward. Pass through tabletop and begin to sink your hips down to the mat. Squeeze your glutes together and your core together so you don't dump your weight into your low back here. Make sure your core has lots of support in up dog. Tuck your toes behind you. Send your hips to the sky, lifting your knees into downward dog. Press your shoulders into the mat, hips up into the sky. Then bend in the knees, coming to tabletop position. Sinking back on your heels, back into child's pose. We can think of that whole flowing movement as the upregulation of our nervous system transitioning into movement, stretch, strength. We'll go through it 2 more times. Sending your weight forward, squeezing your glutes, sending your hips down, tucking your toes, sending your hips up to the sky, downward dog. Bending in the knees to come to tabletop. Untucking your toes and sinking back into child's pose. This next flow you can make your own. Add any variations that you want to add. Flow at your own pace with your own breath. We'll meet all together down in child's pose. Use your hands to walk your chest to an upright position in thunderbolt pose here. We're going to inhale our arms high, coming up onto our knees, tucking our toes, letting our hands down and coming to standing in the middle of our mat here. Stand facing the long side of your mat. Inhale your arms up. We're going to clasp our hands together overhead. For now, your feet can be shoulder width apart or a little bit closer than shoulder width apart. We're going to exhale, sending our hands to the left side, sinking our hips over to the right side. Inhaling back up through center and repeating on the opposite side. Wrists and hands over to the right, hips over to the left. Coming back up through center. As you exhale, send your right hand forward, left hand back. Reaching in a little twist here. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, twisting to the opposite side, left hand forward. Gaze is going to follow that right hand back. Inhaling, arms up, returning to center. Let your arms drop down to your side as you heel toe your feet. Now we're going wider than hip width apart, maybe 3 times your hip width. Send your feet out at a 45-degree angle, so when you bend in your knees are going to follow your toes out at that 45-degree angle. Inhaling our arms up first, reaching wide in star pose. We're going to exhale, bend in our knees, bend in our elbows and wrists, coming into goddess pose. Everything at a 90-degree angle. Hold here for as long as you can to feel the strength and the power here. And when you're ready, send your arms wide, straighten in your legs, and hinge forward into a wide-legged forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, straightening your back, reaching from tailbone to the crown of your head. Exhale, plant your right hand on the mat in front of you. It's okay if you need to bend in your knees so that your hand meets the mat here. Inhale your left hand high, repeating the twisting movements we've been doing. Exhaling that left hand down, replacing it with where your right hand was. Inhaling that right hand up this time. And exhaling back down. Engage your core, have a nice strong flat back as you raise up. We can reach again in star pose. And we're gonna bring our arms down as we heel toe our feet a little bit closer together, but still a wide stance. Step forward about half a foot with your left foot. Turn your toes to face the short side of your mat on the right side. So now our feet should be about hip distance width apart, with our toes facing forward. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, you can plant them on your hips as you, with a flat back, send your body forward, hinging at those hips. And then exhaling, seeing how far you can fold forward into this pyramid pose. You can release your hands down to the mat or to a leg to help support you. From here, we're going to twist again, placing your left hand on the mat, reaching your right hand up towards the sky. And exhaling that hand back down. Go ahead and plant your hands on your right knee to shift your weight forward to send your left leg back a little bit more. We're coming into a lunge here. We're going to inhale our arms high. Exhale, twisting our back heel down to the mat, toes towards the long side of the mat. Reaching in opposite directions, right arm stretches forward, left arm stretches back in warrior two. Inhale to shift your upper body forward, turning your right palm to the sky, sending that right palm up and over to the back as you send your left hand to your low back. Releasing both your hands down, shifting your back foot so your heel is now in the air, continuing to bend in your front leg. We're coming back to our lunge here. Slowly, with a lot of care so you don't injure your knee, lower your back knee down to the mat in a kneeling lunge. You can sink your hips down to the mat for some extra stretch here. And then send your hips back as you straighten your front leg. Folding forward yet again. Now we're doing a kneeling pyramid, just like our previous pyramid, but this time on our knees. Placing both hands on your mat, send your right leg back to meet your left leg. Sink back on your heels. We're gonna come into child's pose again. check in with your body, check in if you've been doing the poses and the movements you want to be doing, or if when we repeat this on the opposite side, you need to make some adjustments so that it's better for your body. All right, go ahead and walk your hands up. We're going to inhale our arms up and then come to standing in the middle of our mat. Walking your toes first wide, toes at that 45-degree angle, reaching up into star pose, exhaling, bending everything at a 90-degree angle into goddess pose, feeling that strength. When you're ready, stretching those arms wide, straightening your legs, keeping a slight bend, flat back as you hinge down into our forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift here. Exhaling, deepening that forward fold, planting your right hand on the mat in front of you. Inhaling that left hand high back to our twist. Switching your hands out as you bring your left hand down. Now our right hand's gonna go high. And back down to the mat. Engaging your core, you can bring your hands to your hips if it helps. Flat back, lifting all the way up. Walking your feet a little bit closer together here. Stretching out into star pose. Releasing our arms from star pose. Walk your right foot forward about half a foot this time. Turn those toes to the back of your mat now. Again, your feet are going to be hip distance width apart. You're going to reach up before sending your hands to your hips, hinging at the waist to send your upper body forward. Checking in with your knees here, make sure they're not hyperextended. And then slowly releasing, deepening this stretch as far as your body wants to go today. Bringing your right hand to the mat this time, sending your left hand up to the sky. Gaze is always going to follow that top hand. Bringing that left hand back down. Lifting your hands to meet your left knee to help you shift your weight forward. Picking up your right foot to send it back. Coming first into our lunge. Raising our arms up to the sky. Twisting and opening to the long side of your mat as you send your left hand forward, right hand back, gaze forward over that left hand. Sending your upper body forward, reaching your left palm to the top of the sky. Then sending that left palm up and over and back as you send your right hand to your low back. Exhaling your arms down first. We're going to shift to lift our back heel. Coming into our lunge. Very carefully lowering that back knee. Sending our hips forward to deepen into this lunge stretch. Shifting your weight back, straightening in that front leg, folding forward at the hips into our kneeling pyramid. You can send your hands down to the mat if that helps you balance. And then sending your left foot back to meet your right foot, sinking back on your heels and reaching forward into child's pose yet again. Using your hands to walk back up into thunderbolt position. We're going to stretch our feet for a moment in this pose before we move to do a little bit of chaturanga. And chaturanga is just transition in vinyasa flow yoga. So, but go ahead and tuck your toes underneath and sit back on your heels to stretch the inside bottoms of your feet. See if you can breathe all the way into your bottoms of your feet here. And then go ahead and tuck your toes back under. And this time we're gonna lift our knees up. So shifting your weight back, you can use your hands on the mat. You can do it one knee at a time if that helps support your feet and your ankles. Again, none of these poses should be painful. If your body allows for it, you can lift both your knees up at the same time, just to create a little bit of a stretch like we were doing with our wrists on the top of our feet here. And exhaling back down. All right, go ahead and make your way to standing. This time we're gonna stand at the top of our mats here, whichever side that is for you. I'm actually gonna make this side the top of my mat. So chaturanga is generally in a vinyasa flow. It's essentially a transition, and it can be anything, but a standard one in sun salutation I'll go through with you. I often use it as a reset. We're starting in mountain pose, palms facing the front, joints stacked on top of each other. We're gonna inhale our arms up to the sky, exhale into a forward fold. Inhale, sliding our hands up our shins for a halfway lift. Exhaling, dropping again into that forward fold, bending our knees, walking our feet back into plank pose. Hold here as long as you want. You can lower down onto the mat with your knees lifted, or you can put your knees down on the mat as you slowly lower down. Inhaling to squeeze your legs together, lifting your chest and your chin for cobra. Exhaling down to the mat, tucking those toes under, pressing your upper body up, then lifting your legs and your hips to the sky for downward dog. And you can hop, float, walk your feet up towards your hands and roll them around your spine. Back up into mountain pose. We're going to go through this 2 more times, once more guided and once on your own. You can reflect on any transitions that are happening in your life. Inhaling your arms up to the sky, or you can just reflect on your breath as we move through. Exhale into forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bending in the knees, putting your hands on the mat as you walk your feet back. Lowering down onto the mat. Lifting your chest and your chin for cobra. Tucking those toes, lifting your hips to the sky for downward dog. And bringing your feet up to the top of the mat to meet your hands. Great, let's do that one more time. Inhaling our arms up. At your own pace, you can forward fold. My voice will drop off to let you be in the flow of this movement. Take your time to finish. We're going to meet all together standing at mountain pose at the top of our mat. When you're ready, send your left leg back. Come facing the long side of your mat. Make sure those toes are at a 45-degree angle. We're going to bend in the knees again, this time coming all the way down into our yogi squat. My stance needs to be a little bit closer here. You can hop down to a seated position. And we have a little bit of a gentle wind down here. Go ahead and point your toes towards the long side of your mat, knees to the sky. We're gonna go through some windshield wipers, sending our knees to one side and the other, letting our knees just drop, letting our hips relax a little. And finding some stillness, go ahead and bring your right ankle over top of your left knee. Press up into it with your chest to deepen the figure 4 stretch here. Releasing your foot and switching sides, picking up your left ankle to go over top of your right knee. Pressing with your chest and your core towards your leg to deepen the stretch. And unwinding, stretching your legs out long in front of you. Go ahead and lay down on your mat. Reset your body by stretching long in both directions. You can do a supine star pose by sending your arms and feet wide to the side. And take a moment here to listen to your body and see any last little intuitive movements that you want to make, any last stretches. If you're unsure of what to do, happy baby or bringing your knees to your chest are great options. When you're ready, find some stillness. We'll be moving into Shavasana. And you can lay on your back for Shavasana or you can curl to one side in the fetal position. I'm going to read another poem about transitions. And you can listen to the words or you can let your mind drift. My voice will fall off after the poem and then it will come back in when it is time to return to your day. This poem is Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise men at their end know dark is right. Because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men, near death, who see the blinding with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my Father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.